I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm Curtis Jones.
I am Cody Gakpo.
Putting on the Liverpool top for the first time, it was a dream come true, and I'll never forget that moment.
The new LFC 24-25 season Nike home kit is out now.
Buy it today, along with our new goalkeeper kit and training range at your official LFC stores. Online at liverpoolfc.com/store and on the official LFC store app.
You will never walk alone.
Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senwa Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AEye Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AEye Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AEye Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to AEye Scouted on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Dave Hendrick, joined as always by a very ill Mr. Karl Matchett. How are you today, sir, aside from the illness?
Stellar, absolutely stellar. And not quite very, very ill. Just one very, I reckon's enough.
Moderately ill. Right, what we're going to do today is we're going to play a little game. We're going to have a look through the squad and see how they fit to the Arne Slot way of playing. Both in the 4-2-3-1 that he regularly plays and the 4-3-3 that he has played at times this season. So if you want to take the 4-2-3-1, I'll take the 4-3-3 and we can go from there. Now, we'll do keep, sell, loan, but what we can also do is if there's a player, for example, a certain Irish goalkeeper who has done an interview and said that they would like to leave, we can also say, you know, like that you would keep him, but that the player would likely want to leave, and we can kind of work from there and go back and forth. So I'm going to start. I've got a squad list in front of me, which I actually think is just the first team squad, because there's no point in really looking at any of the academy players, because the assumption will be they'll all be kept. But the players that were senior players that went out on loan last year, we will include in this. So let's start with goalkeepers. Alisson Becker, keep, sell, or loan?
Probably keep. I know there's been one or two murmurings that he may, want a new role or a new challenge or whatever, and if that's the case, then the list of clubs who can pay £100 million are very, very small indeed, and they wouldn't be one in the Premier League either. So I would say the probability is very, very much side with keeping him.
Yeah, so look, even to be realistic about this, there are 4 clubs that could potentially buy him, because we wouldn't sell him within England. So that takes off Chelsea, United, and City, who could afford him. That leaves PSG, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. Now, Barcelona are financially screwed anyway, but they also have Marc-Andre ter Stegen. It's very unlikely they're going to be wanting a goalkeeper. Real Madrid have Thibaut Courtois. PSG have Gigi Donnarumma. Now, you can argue that Donnarumma is not as good as Alisson. That's fair enough, and I agree with that. But at the same time, they're not buying a goalkeeper this summer. The other one would be Bayern then. Now, they do still have Manuel Neuer, but obviously he has declined quite a bit as you get older. He's 38 now. But he's still a good goalkeeper, and it's very, very unlikely that they would pay 100 million for Alisson when they're trying to keep their pennies together to try and buy Florian Wirtz next summer. So realistically, there's no real move for him within Europe. The only option will be to go to Saudi. And I just don't see him having any interest in that. He's 31 years of age. Why would he want to do that and go into semi-retirement in his peak? It just doesn't really make sense to me, Karl.
I agree wholeheartedly. And Guy makes the very reasonable point there that PSG have also done a deal for the Krasnodar goalkeeper, whose name has completely escaped me, who I think is meant to be replacing Keylor Navas as the number 2 and presumably is their long-term successor for Donnarumma as well. So Safanov, there you go.
Yeah, he is very, very good. I think he's about the same age as Donnarumma, actually. But he is very good.
So I just don't think that there's too many other landing spots for him, like you say. Like back in the day, you could have seen him at a Juventus or whatever, but where's the money coming from for that? The only Italian side who could potentially have money, one is Inter Milan, since they've just been taken over by the club, by the organisation who had basically a loan guaranteed against the club for Suning, who didn't pay back the loan. And the other one, obviously, is Napoli. If they do so, Kvaratskhelia, they'll have money to burn, but they are way too far down for him to reasonably go to.
Yeah, really. And they're not going to spend 100 million on one player. Like, if they sell Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia, they're going to buy 5 or 6 players with that money. They're not going to buy £100 million player. It's not what they do. They're going to buy someone and try and turn them into a £100 million player. I said Safanov and Gigi Donnarumma were about the same age. They're exactly the same age to the day. Both of them born 25th of February, 1999. That is quite funny. Right, let's keep moving through the squad. Caoimhín Kelleher.
It's acceptable that he wants to leave after the season he's just had. He played an important role. I think a lot of Premier League teams would look at him and say, yeah, he could be our consistent number 1 after playing, I think it was at 10 in the league and sort of well over 20 overall, which is better than all of his previous seasons, obviously. The only real thing here is how much you want to hold out for him, because we've seen in the past, we've spoke about Liverpool missing out on fees, missing out on selling players, people like, I'm talking about fringe and second choice players here, Nat Phillips and the like, where we should have got pretty good money for them and didn't. So I would like to think this time we will get a fee, we will allow him to move on and sort of a result that everybody wants. It's just about what you think that fee is, whether it's going on previous goalkeepers who have moved. I know we referred to Gavin Bazuna previously, but even in more recent transfers than that, I think there's an argument to say 20 million has to be the start point, but it may be that we go for less just to allow him to go.
Yeah, and look, maybe you go a little bit less on the upfront and then you can put some add-ons and a sell-on clause and whatever else in place. Caoimhín Kelleher played 26 games in all competitions for us this season. He had previously played 21 games in his entire career. So yeah, a career year for him. And he made it clear in that interview with James Pearce that he wants to go and play. So I think it's best to facilitate that, even if you have to take a little bit less than you actually would want for him. I think it breeds good relations and it breeds goodwill between, clubs and agents and other clubs where, look, we do you a little bit of a deal on this one and maybe you do us a bit of a deal on the next one. So I would definitely be in the sell camp. I just don't think we can have a 20 million backup goalkeeper. I think the ideal situation here is we sell him. Yaros takes that backup role. We get 2 good years out of him as the backup and then sell him on for 20 million. And then ideally Pitaluga is able to step in. You do the same thing with him for 2 years. You move him on for a good fee. And then and that's basically what you continue to do. You continue to have your academy churn out backup goalkeepers that you can get 2 good years of at the senior level and then ship out the door for a good fee and send them on to have a good career. The third senior goalkeeper then is Adrian. He is out of contract this summer. I don't know if I'd be surprised or annoyed if he wasn't gone, but I think he should go. I think he should be released and let leave.
Yeah, with the goalkeeping department moving on, and by that I mean obviously the coaches who are departing at the same time as Klopp, it's time for a fresh start. Let's be honest. So
yeah, and I think his role in recent years has been sort of part player, part coach, part mentor type of thing.
I think it's that. It's the mentor, isn't it? It's not even coach. It's mentor, or as well as cover. He's just been the mentor, the experienced one, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it's time for a refresh. So let's not hold on to too much of that.
Exactly, and he was also taking up a non-homegrown spot. That, I mean, your third choice goalkeeper should be a homegrown player. It should be a Scott Carson type. And there's a couple of them out there this summer that maybe we can go and get, like an Alex McCarthy from Southampton who's out of contract. Go and aim for someone like him. Bring him in. He's a keeper that was linked to us for years and years, back when he was at Reading and such. So yeah, something like that. But move Adrian on. Right, let's move on to the defenders then. And we'll start with the right backs. So Trent Alexander-Arnold, keep, sell, or, well, loan is off the table. Let's be real. It's keep or sell here, Karl. Does it solely come down to it has to solely come down to the contract, doesn't it? Yes.
And as I said on a podcast not too long ago, I would be wanting that signed up and sorted by before the end of July, comfortably before the end of July, if I'm being honest. Keep is obviously the preference here, assuming that's what Trent wants as well. It shouldn't be an issue. We should just be in talks as soon as our new collective hierarchy are in place. And we sort it out very, very quickly as one of the main orders of priority of the summer, to be honest. So keep. And if it's not done by the time we hit the end of July, I'm sorry, but that's probably about as long as I would go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. And I don't even know that I'd want it going that long, because then you get into August and all of a sudden teams start to know, everybody knows the situation already. But you get into August and teams might start to try and take advantage. We know that there's one obvious suitor out there for him. We also know that club has a couple of players that we might like. So maybe there's some creative accounting that can be done where they take Trent for X price and we take another player back for X price, but no money changes hands or something along those lines. But obviously the preference is to keep for certain. Connor Bradley then.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, keep. I don't think Connor Bradley should be considered anything other than a squad player for next season. I think he has, in that place where he's done well, his first season included enough good games that he's part of the squad now. But that's as far as it goes, and he's got to do it all over again. He's got reasonable experience behind him now in terms of senior games. He's obviously on the international scene as well. There's nothing kid about him anymore in that regard. It was just Premier League breakthrough that was left for him to do. I think he's done enough there. And the only thing now to decide is obviously if Trent is ahead of him or if Trent is in midfield and another fullback comes in. That would still be the same outcome for me.
Yeah, 100% for me as well. Like Trent staying, leaving or moving into midfield should have no bearing on Conor Bradley's status in the squad. He should be the backup right back. If Trent leaves or moves into midfield, you go and you buy a starting right back. You're right, Bradley has 81 senior appearances to his name, 28 for us and 53 for Bolton. He's also got 15 senior international caps. So, you know, he is now, even at the age of 20, he is a senior, well, not a senior player, but he's a senior squad player. And it's proven every year. It's proven every single year at this point now. We can expect him to have poor games, and those will be understandable given his age. But, you know, there's no, it's a clean slate for everybody, good and bad. What you've done in the past is no longer relevant. All the credit in the bank goes with the previous manager. And now you've got to start over with this manager and you've got to earn your minutes under him. But 100% keep. A player then that spent his season out on loan, well, actually 2 loans, but has been completely injury plagued for the last 2 years since joining us, is Calvin Ramsey, Karl. Only 8 appearances across the 2 years, 2 for us, 2 for Preston, and 4 for Bolton, where we tried to, you know, recreate the Bradley loan. Where do you stand on this kid? Because he is only 20. He's very young. Doesn't have the same kind of experience as Bradley. Did play 39 games for Aberdeen across 2 seasons. Has 1 Scottish cap. Very, very talented, very highly regarded. And many people felt that his signing in the summer of 2022 was a nod from the club that they didn't think that Bradley was going to make the grade. But Bradley's obviously kicked on significantly, whereas Ramsey has been injury plagued. What would you do with him this summer?
I mean, I wouldn't make a decision on him. That's sort of where it is because of the injuries and because of the lack of ability to see where he is. So it would be...
I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm Curtis Jones.
I am Cody Gakpo.
Putting on the Liverpool top for the first time, it was a dream come true, and I'll never forget that moment.
The new LFC 24-25 season Nike home kit is out now.
Buy it today, along with our new goalkeeper kit and training range at your official LFC stores. Online at liverpoolfc.com/store and on the official LFC store app.
You will never walk alone.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become? YNWA Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
In the squad for pre-season, get a really good look at him if he's fit and can contribute and see what he can do, see what he looks like up against Conor Bradley at close quarters. And then obviously it's a decision over whether to keep for the first half of the season or to loan. I find it very difficult to believe he would get too much game time, to be honest. It's unfortunate the way it's gone, but obviously we've not got to another name yet who is probably going to be a big right-back candidate as well to feature for quite a lot of minutes. So I don't see much other than go away on loan again and try this time to get a really good season in.
Yeah, I'm fully in agreement there. Even if it's a thing where you try and keep him at the club until Christmas, just to rebuild his fitness and work on the different issues that he's had. Conor Bradley, remember, missed a chunk of last season with a bad back injury. And the club were, you know, able to kind of put him in the lab and just work on him and then kind of unleash him into the first team group. Maybe we do the same with Ramsey this year, but instead of into the first team group. it's a well-picked loan where we know he's going to play a style that will benefit him for when he comes back, where he'll get minutes and where, they've got a track record of development. Again, it could be Bolton. Like, it could very well be Bolton Wanderers. I'm going to leave the guy you referenced, and we're going to come back to him at the end, because he's not, I don't want to pigeonhole him as just a right back or just a left back or a centre back. Kind of plays everywhere, so we'll come back to him. But let's go to the two senior left backs in the squad. Andy Robertson, or Andrew Robertson if we want to be formal. 30 years of age, 2 years left in his contract. What are you doing with him?
I'm certainly having a conversation with him, and quite importantly, I'm probably at the same time seeing what is out there for him, if there's anything out there for him, because I wouldn't be letting him go cheap, that's for sure. And I do think that there are probably minimal takers at the price Liverpool would want for Andy Robertson or Andrew Robertson. I mean, we've spoken about this before. I know you see him going overseas to certain leagues or certain clubs. I don't personally. So I do think it would just be Premier League for now. He wouldn't be very, very high on my has to stay list. But equally, I'm not eager to offload him if the idea principally is to have a much more balanced team next year. I do still think he's got quite a bit to give to that.
He would be very, very high on my list to sell. Very high on my list to sell. We've seen significant decline over the past 2 and a bit years, beginning in the back half of 21-22. We've seen an uptick in injuries across the last few years as well. He is 30 years of age, has 2 years left in his contract, and earns a significant amount of money. And he is a big part of why we have not had balance. Now, it's not actually his fault. It's the fault of the lad playing the other side because of how he's been used. But the refusal to move on from Andy Robertson and play a more defensive left back has cost us. We looked a lot better, I think, when Joe Gomez played left back than when Robbo did, because Joe is stronger defensively and a bit more disciplined defensively and doesn't spend half his games playing as a winger. I understand that he's got experience and leadership, and that's vital. I also would struggle to see Andy Robertson settling into a backup role. And if we're looking at improving this team, left back is one of the obvious areas to hit and upgrade. And I don't see him being happy moving into a backup role. I also don't think the club should be carrying players who earn 150,000 a week or thereabouts as backups. And his value is only going to decline regardless, because he's not getting a new contract. He'll be 31 next summer. I don't see any possibility that Michael Edwards gives him a new contract. I think Edwards would put him firmly in the Henderson type of category of, we're not extending a player whose engine is their best attribute. And I know Robertson's a very good cross for the ball and a good passer, but his engine is what makes him special. That ability to go and go and go, that has started to decline. So I don't think he's getting a new contract. And I think the era of letting players leave for free has to come to an end. So even if it meant taking less than we might view him as being worth, I'd be looking to sell this summer. I think he's been an incredible servant. He's pound for pound. He's the best value for money deal the club has done since, I don't know, Hansen. An incredible signing and like an all-time great, arguably in our best ever 11. But I think the time has come to move him on. And I just don't think we can be sentimental about it. I think he can offer certain things to the club. But if we're talking about being balanced and our right backs are Trent and Connor Bradley, our left backs have to be primarily defensive players in an Arne Slot system. And that's not Robbo. And it would take away the best part of Robbo's game, which is what he can offer in the final third. So for me, it would be a sell. I don't know where. I think he would go to Bayern. Like, if you look at how Slot has used his fullbacks, Gertrude, the right back, nominally a defensive player, a centre-back by trade, tucks in with the other two centre-backs to form a three, where Hanko is the left-sided one. But he uses left-back then in Hartmann as the more attacking one, who can play wide, can play high, can underlap, can move into midfield if needed, as can Gertrude, but in a more attacking way. I think that's got to be the Trent role, but on the other side, so we need to find a left-sided Gertrude, which is where I think the links to the likes of William Pacho and Nkapie and certain others are coming in. I think that's the model for them. And unfortunately for Andy Robertson, he just doesn't fit. And if we're going to keep one of the existing left-backs, I'd rather keep the younger lad who earns a lot less money. So I'd be up for selling Robertson. He'd be high on my list to go. He's actually second on my list to go.
Which all begs the question, how much are you asking for him? Where's your cutoff? Where do you say, no, he's not going for that little?
At his age, and like, again, this comes down to this guy cost us 5 million or 8 million, whatever it was, 8 million rising to 10. He has repaid every single penny of it, time and time again. He's repaid every penny of wages that he's been given, time and time again. So I don't think he owes us anything. And I don't think we're desperate to get a big fee out of it. I think whatever fee we get from him, we can look at as money found. Because I think Robertson is just one of those that's given us up. Like, look at Henderson. He left last summer. Some of the media reports said we got, a fee of around 12 million. We got 4 million from him. We got 4 million for Henderson last summer. And that was in part because of what he'd done for the club. Now, we'll get a lot more than that for Robertson, but I'm not sitting here saying we should, unless we get 25 million, we say no. I think if someone comes in with in and around 20, I just think you move him on. Because whatever, if you get 20 or you get 30, it's only paying part of what it's going to cost to buy the new guy. And if Kelleher is going as well, that's also found money. And you're probably not having to buy a replacement for him because you've got Yaros there. So that could go to the left back along with whatever you get for Robertson. I wouldn't be holding out for a big fee. If I got 18 to 20 million, I'd snap it up. If I got 15, I'd probably take it, being honest.
The 20 million is roughly where I was thinking it would be. And I wasn't honestly seeing loads that would pay that. That was kind of the point.
Right. Well, if we look at the Premier League, because you're of the opinion that he wouldn't leave the UK. So 20 million.
Anyone who's finished in the top 6.
Yeah. Well,
we're just not.
Let's be honest. He's not going to get in the Arsenal team. He's not getting in the City team over Gvardiol. I'd sell him to Villa. I would. I'd sell him to Villa. If he wanted to go to Villa, I'd sell him there. His best mate, John McGinn, is there. If he wanted to go to Villa, he's an upgrade on what they have. They're a big club and they're in the Champions League. If he wanted to go there, if he was up for that move, I would sell him to Villa. Because they're not a threat to win the league. I wouldn't sell him to a club that's a threat to win the league. So I wouldn't sell him to Chelsea, even though they finished 6th. I still wouldn't sell him there. Because I do think in the next couple of years, they could be a threat to win the league. I'd sell him to Newcastle, but they don't need him. Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own two-footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye. Spurs, I mean, if they offered the money, I would, but they're not going to be looking for left back because they've got a Doige. They'll look for a backup, and he's not going to want to go there and be a backup. And obviously, you wouldn't sell him to United because they're a dreadful set of lads, but I'd sell him to Villa. And then it's the clubs below that. You know, West Ham, I could see having interest. I think he'd fit well in Lopetegui's team, and they'd have the money. They could also afford the wages. And maybe a big signing like that would deflect attention from the fact that Lucas Paqueta might get banned for 10 years. Below that, I think the only other club that could A, pay the money, and B, interest him might be Fulham, just because of getting to live in London. But I don't know if Andy Robertson wants to live in London. Like, I've no idea. So I'd say Villa. Villa be the club I'd be approaching and saying, look, here's the situation. 15 million, you know, he's happy to join. He's going to want big wages, but you're going to get rid of Coutinho. So the wages are there. On you go. Thanks for everything, Robbo, but, you know, all good things have to come to an end. And if you think back, Karl, you're old enough to remember, Villa was traditionally where we sold players that had just crested the wave.
The Steve Staunton, Dean
Steve
Saunders.
Staunton, Ray Houghton, Collymore went there. We did a lot of business
former
with them.
Reds.
Yeah. Tell them, you go to Rob when you say, look, there's a great tradition of Liverpool players going to Villa to see out their career. So on your bike, son, away you go. Villa would be the one. Villa's the one that stands out for me because he is better than both the left backs they have. And they are being linked. I didn't think they would be, but they are being linked with moves for left backs this summer. So if they're in the market, I don't know that they're going to find better than him. Even on the slide, I don't think they're going to find better than him.
Right. Forget 16, 18. I'm on board.
Right. So Kostas Tsimikas then is up next.
Sell.
Yeah, see, I would sell both. Kostas is 28, just turned 28. Age-wise and wage-wise, I'm not against keeping him, but I think for the good of his own career, it's probably just best to move him on. I think he had a good season this year. Like, he was really good up until he got hurt, but I think it's just time to move him on.
I mean, the thing is, when you say he was really good up until the time he got hurt, because he didn't play before that, and then he didn't play after that, that was like 8 league games.
He played 25 times this year, Karl.
Yeah, but he made 8 league starts.
Yeah.
The Europa League doesn't count.
Why doesn't the Europa League count?
Because we're not in it next year, and he's not going to be playing those games just because we rotate the team.
That's very fair. Yeah, no, look, it's that you're right. Look, he's a solid international caliber footballer. He's clearly a lad who's very popular among the players.
He is.
If he wanted to stay, I wouldn't be shoving him out the door. But if he's happy to go or actively wants to go, I think you absolutely work to facilitate it. And for me, if we can get back the 12 million that we put into him, I'm happy with that. I'm not looking for a whole lot for him.
Well, fair enough. I'd be putting him quite higher up. I think he is, like you say, a good player and a good squad member, dressing room member, but he doesn't play well if he's not in the team, and he's not in the team often enough. And after the length of time he's been here, we should know that by now. And if we are making a fresh start, that has to be one of the ones we go for. He's not been treated well in terms of how hard he works and doesn't get the chance. And I think that over time that has reduced his amount that he's probably willing to put in, which he couldn't be blamed for. And therefore, I think if you want to improve and progress and get a new left back, you need someone who's going to come in and fight for the spot.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
He's been conditioned to not.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that's the thing. He's been conditioned to understand that it doesn't matter how well he plays. If Robertson is fit, Robertson's in over him. And I do hope that kind of thing comes to an end now. Under the new manager, I hope it is more of a meritocracy, and if players are in really good form and the other guy for their position has been playing poorly, that the fella in good form gets kept in the team, even if the other guy's obviously a better player. But if the guy's in good form, keep him in the team. So we'd be looking at bringing in a left back then, and then potentially we've got one player, if we say keep, or if he stays, could cover that role. You've also got, I think, Callum Chambers next season in that role would fit well in that more defensive spot. And then if you want an attacking option, you've got Callum Scanlon. Is it Callum Scanlon? Scanlon? Yeah. It is Scanlon, yeah. He could be the one that kind of gives you a more attacking option if you need that, if for the League Cup or whatever. But yeah, right. Moving on to centre backs. Then we know Matip is leaving. Let's start with Virgil and just go from there. It is again contract based, but I'm confident the contract gets sorted with him. I'm more confident with him than I am with the other two that have big contract decisions this summer.
Agreed. I would nearly make him the lesser priority, but he's so good you have to make him the priority. So get his done. Hopefully that takes about a week. Sorted out, on we go.
Yeah, Virgil, what do you want? Grand, here it is. Sign it, on we go. Ibu Kanate then, the nominal first choice, obviously lost his place towards the end of the season. But for me, as of now, he is still the clear first choice partner for Virgil.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm Curtis Jones.
I am Cody Gakpo.
Putting on the Liverpool top for the first time, it was a dream come true, and I'll never forget that moment.
The new LFC 24-25 season Nike home kit is out now.
Buy it today, along with our new goalkeeper kit and training range at your official LFC stores. Online at liverpoolfc.com/store and on the official LFC store app.
You will never walk alone.